Hi everyone! In this second video I'm going to give you an overview of the combat system in Bôken. As I mentioned in the previous video, the encounter card depends on the type of terrain where you stop. Once the enemies are generated, place the encounter cover card on the enemy or enemies who are not participating in the fight. Then you need to place your hero tokens on the encounter display to track the enemy's hit points. Combat is played in turns, alternating between the hero's turn and the enemy's turn. A hero can perform only one action among the following 7 actions: attack, use a skill, use an ability, use an item, defend, reorganize, and flee. In addition to these actions, a hero can spend 1 SP to change rows, moving to either the front row or the back row. Now let's look at these available actions in more detail. Attack. When a hero chooses this action, they simply roll a combat die after selecting the enemy they want to attack. Then they compare the result of the die with the icons shown on their weapon card. The equipped card tells you the attack value depending on whether you rolled a normal hit, a critical hit, or a super critical hit. In this example, our weapon tells us that we perform a 4 plus X attack on a critical hit. X is your level bonus shown on your hero sheet, which is 1 at level 1, so we perform an attack of 5 against the chosen enemy. Since the Kagemonster has a defense of 2 against physical attacks, we deal 5 minus 2, which is 3 damage. Once a hero has completed their action, it becomes the other hero's turn. Use a skill. When you choose this action, you select one equipped skill and spend the MP indicated on the card. Unlike the attack action, you usually do not roll a die. You simply apply the effect described on the card. In this example, we choose the Fireball skill and perform a fire attack of 7. The Kagemonster has a defense of 2 against fire, so we deal 5 damage. That is more than enough to knock it out. Use an ability. At the beginning of the game, you do not yet have any ability cards. Ability cards work in the same way as skills. You simply apply the effect described on the card. Use an item. This action simply allows you to apply the effect of an equipped item or a basic item. Defend. When you choose this action, your defense value increases. This means you can use the lower row of your armor instead of the upper row, which is weaker. Reorganize. This action allows you to change your equipped gear and skills, or even switch allies if you have any. Flee from combat. To flee from combat, you must roll a die. If the value of the die is greater than or equal to the enemy's escape value, all heroes successfully flee the fight. Finally, in addition to all these actions, you can also use the boost effect of skill cards. If you do, flip the card face down and apply the effect shown in the boost section. Enemy attacks. Enemies attack one by one, rolling the same combat die as the heroes. Depending on the result of the die, you can see whether the enemy performs a normal attack or a critical hit. The die also indicates whether the target is hero A, hero B, or the hero in the front row. For example, when the Pesticroak attacks and rolls a normal hit, it performs an attack of 5 with poison and drains stamina. The die indicates that it attacks hero A. Hero A can then subtract their armor value from this attack. If they had chosen the defend action, they could instead use the lower armor value. Just like the rest of the game, enemy attack effects like hero effects are designed to keep the gameplay smooth. For example, with poison effects, minigame gives you a poison token and asks you to remember to take damage at the start of each turn. I find that this kind of mechanic adds mental load and can be frustrating when players forget to apply the effect. That's why effects in Bôken are designed to reduce that mental load. For example, with poison, you simply increase the poison token by 1 step each time you receive poison. When your HP token reaches the poison token, you are knocked out. So poison reduces your maximum HP instead of dealing 1 damage each turn. Because it's very visual, it's impossible to forget, and it helps keep the game flowing smoothly. Rewards. Once the enemies are defeated, you receive the golden experience points shown under the enemies. Experience points are always indicated as a value minus your level. This means you must subtract your level from that value. For example, if you gain 3 XP minus your level, you gain 2 XP at level 1 and 0 XP if you are level 3. So you will need to fight stronger enemies to keep earning experience points. When you level up, you will gain new advanced skills and your maximum HP and MP will increase. Finally, you can roll a die to see if you gain bonus rewards. These rewards can sometimes include very interesting unique items. To finish, the many bosses and sub-bosses you will encounter in the game work in a similar way. However, bosses always have 2 to 3 phases. Once you defeat the first phase, you move on to the next, and so on. Sub-bosses, on the other hand, use a 6-sided die to attack. This means they have more varied attacks than regular enemies. So that's the basic idea of the combat system, dear adventurers. This was just a quick overview to give you an idea of the mechanics without going too much into detail. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Also, for the next video, feel free to let us know in the comments if there are specific aspects you would like us to cover. Thank you very much for your interest and see you very soon!